Peace, happy and healthy family and friends. Happy new day
It's
with
Happy New Day with Ari and
Ari and
J.
Jay. Yes, we are
Mm-hmm.
here feeling good, trusting that you are feeling the same and better always.
Yes.
Okay, I am not a weather doppler, but I know that it is getting warm. Finally, the everything's breaking in the weather, so it's a beautiful day.
Yes, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and life is good.
Yes, this is very true.
We hope that you all are doing the same.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that topic, that was why we are choosing to wait until marriage.
Yes, why are we choosing to wait until marriage? Yes, why are we choosing to wait until marriage?
What are we waiting for? What is that one thing that we have not ever done before together?
Hmm.
That one thing.
Well, we've chosen not to have intercourse prior to marriage.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's something that is not as uh, widely publicized, choosing abstinence and celibacy, and definitely in a setting of a couple, a loving couple,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's rare. It's
Yes.
rare because we're so inundated, radio, TV, film, um, with the sex culture,
Yes.
and that's all that's really talked about.
All day, every day, especially on Sunday.
Facts.
Yeah, yeah. So why? Whew.
What there's a road that has led both of us
Mm-hmm.
to the choice of not participating in sexual intercourse.
So what took you there?
Why I'm always answering the question first.
Queens first.
Ah.
Queens first.
Okay, since you put it that way.
Yes. Yeah, the queens come first.
This may be true.
Mm-hmm.
Why wait until marriage?
Why did you?
Why did I?
Yes. Why did you wait until marriage?
You know, it is becoming abstinent and celibate. That's something that I knew I was taking on,
Mm-hmm.
and then I wasn't thinking about marriage when peace we see it. I was not thinking about marriage when I decided to stop having sex, to stop giving into my lowest nature.
Mm-hmm.
And I was putting, I share with people all the time, I put myself in a category of a nunk, where I'm
None.
a nunk,
Okay.
where I am part nun and part monk.
Oh, okay.
So it's the spiritual thing because that's what I have really been focused on since August of 2019.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Big wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a conscious decision, like I said before, to just let go of feeding into my lower nature. And the ideal behind it, or that supported it, was Think and Grow Rich.
Oh, okay.
Napoleon Hill.
Oh, okay.
Where it's more of a sexual transmutation, where you take your lower, this is chapter 11 in that book, by the way, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. You take all of you take your sexual component, right? And then you force feed that into your drive, into what you want to do. And I'll be honest, the wellness fairy wouldn't be here if I was just doing everything that you know,
Mm.
my lower nature would have wanted me to do.
Mm.
Then COVID made it even easier because in the beginning,
Well,
everybody had
yeah.
COVID, right? So that made it easier. I just stayed to myself, and then it became a practice that it was easy. It was more peaceful to just be abstinent.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I remember all the calls that came in, the DMs, and the, oh, you still? And like, yeah, I am. I'm good. I'm real good because I saw the blessings that were coming into my life.
Mm.
You know, there's blessings and
Mhm.
there's curses, but I will definitely hang on the fact that me holding myself, not for any particular reason, like as far as marriage, but just to learn myself
Right.
and to focus on my calling
Right.
on me. And it's been beautiful so far.
Mhm.
Then that COVID, then March 5th, we met and
Yeah, at the sacred sexuality retreat at that.
yeah, sacred sexuality retreat
Mhm.
for sure. And
Now, that doesn't mean sex.
no,
It's sacred
no,
sexuality.
absolutely not.
And there's an
No.
energy behind sex. It's not sex is an energy, not necessarily a physical thing. So,
Yes,
mhm.
we met, came together, and I mean, you you fine and stuff, and I,
And
you
I'm
know,
fine with you.
and I was put in a space where I had to think, like, oh, okay, this may happen again, because me, like I said, a nunk, I was cool on my only, you know, and not going into that space because of all of that I had achieved, not going there.
Yes.
So then we met, and then you said, well, you know, we could do it, which was true. We all have choices. Then you said, but I would like for us to wait until marriage.
Yes.
I was like, what? What? I was like, oh, okay. Never heard that before in my whole life.
I wanted to do it the right way. Well, not to say that there's a there is a wrong way to go about it, but I wanted to take the time as we built our friendship, our relationship, our togetherness to build it not so much in a physical standpoint, but I wanted to connect with you on every level. So connect with you mentally, connect with you spiritually, connect with you emotionally. I wanted to whatever was left in our shadows that needed to be dealt with, that we can deal with together. I wanted to connect with you and build that into a strong bond. And so, um, and then also, you know, my background is in Tantra. And so, um, granted, yes, we're not having intercourse, physical sex, but energetically, our bond has been like this since day one. And the orgasmicness in our relationship is alive and well. Everybody talks about our energy, so there's no shortage of energy. We're talking about we connect on a higher spiritual level, and so that energy that we've developed and that we cultivate, that is what helps us transcend uh, mind, body, and spirit. Where we are connecting and melding together. It's what you refer to as a sexual alchemy without the physicality in that space. And so, are we intimate? Yes, absolutely. But our intimacy is not necessarily tied to having to uh, is not tied to intercourse. And so when we do get married, guess what? Oh yeah, because our bond is so tight. I can't. I've never had a bond with another human being on this level before. And so, like, what we do together, our yoga practices together, our energetic development practices together, our being together, that I can't even put a price. I can't put a earthly value on that. What we have together, what we're developing together, it is heaven on earth. And so when we do cross that threshold, and that won't be too long from now, it's going to be right. It's going to be something that transcends this world. And so that's what we're building together. And so, because what I found in the past is when I go in, lead in, and, we're sexually active, typically the first 3 to 6 months, the person that you meet isn't the person that they actually are. And so when you're dealing with someone on from a sexual standpoint, it clouds your judgment, especially if it's good. I mean, you can kind of tell, when you connect with somebody, if they can get down with the get down, or if they, they might be lacking in a certain area. And so, if the sex is good, you start to overlook stuff, and you be like, and they come in, they do something, and you're like, but the sex is good. They come back and they say something to you, come at you sideways about something. You're like, wait, yeah, but that sex is good. All right. Oh yeah, then you look up and and that it becomes a cycle to the point where you realize that the person you started off being with ain't the person that you end up with. Yeah, and so the initial part of why when we connected, and I was like, hey, you know what? No, we can wait. And that was because I wanted to really get to know who you are. We started, our beginnings was a friendship. Yeah, and that's what we have above and beyond anything else. Because over time, the romanticism's in. They fall apart. You kind of like, you see those couples. You see them get hell. You don't even know they're a couple until unless you look at if they still wearing their wedding rings, or if they even in the same space at any point in time. Their relationship's so dry. Hell, I mean, if you blow on them, they turn to dust. And so, you got to maintain the juiciness in the relationship, and that comes from the way that we've developed within each other, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. And and once we had with that bond, now it's taken us to the next level. It's allowed us to take that energy and transmute it and grow it into something above, that's out of above and beyond just ourselves. And so why did I decide to wait? I was already practicing semen retention on a monthly basis as a part of my spiritual practices. So it's not like it was that much of a transition for me, because I've already been on that. I was already on that wave for over a year and a half. If the brothers don't know about semen retention, if you ever want to take your sex game to a whole nother level, hit me in the DM, and I'll explain it to you. But because a lot of these brothers is out here, they shooting they shot every chance they get, not realizing that they're killing their life force. And then also they running up in any and everything, and everybody ain't fit for human consumption. And so when you think about, from the sexual act, yeah, it's physical, but it's more spiritual, emotional, and and if it's done correctly, with the right intention, not only can you manifest babies, but you can manifest anything you want on this planet. And so that's a whole nother subject when we're talking about sexual alchemy and doing things on a whole nother level. It's, ritualistic in your experiences. And so that we're able to do that, through our tantric practices without even having um, the physical interaction of intercourse. But don't get it twisted. There's more orgasms happening, within our relationship than we'd had. I don't know. I'd ask you.
What you gonna ask me?
I don't know. Have you felt orgasmic in our relationship?
Yes.
You got the tingle. You got the tingle.
I live an orgasmic life.
Mm-hmm.
So us coming together, I admire what we have. I admire you.
I admire you.
Oh, so that's definitely something that I appreciate about you. The support, everything that is around sex we do things in an orgasmic way.
Yes.
Everything is done with elation, happiness.
Gotta keep it juicy. There ain't nothing dry over here.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the bond that we have and the fact that it is not sexual, I feel makes us even closer.
Absolutely.
Because there's that, I'm saying because the sex is good. No, there is no sex. But I'm saying because I'm happy to stay. I'm saying because I want to stay.
Yes, and our friendship is second to none.
True.
Yes. You're my best friend. You're my best friend.
Cute. I love it.
So that's why we decided to wait. Because we wanted to build every aspect of our relationship energetically, holistically,
True.
consciously. We wanted to be able to make conscious decisions because, especially in the beginning, if the sex is good, it skews things those red lights, those, it's like, but and then you say, it's all good though. And then things that you wouldn't normally like let ride, you're like, but the sex is good, and you let it ride, and all of a sudden you look up and you're in a shitty relationship. Who wants that? Or the real person shows up and they're like, ha ha, and you're like, oh damn, this is who I hooked up with.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you're already, energetically tied to them because of your sexual relations.
Soul tie.
Yes, soul ties. Always keep in mind, everybody that you lay down with, there's a soul connection that goes above and beyond that. It's not just hit it and quit it. No, you're carrying that person with you, especially the women.
True.
Especially the women.
True.
And so, there's a tantric process that, that you can do to erase that and pull out that negative energy from your bodies. But I look at most of the sisters, no offense. Let me not say most, a lot. In particular, my clients. They come to me and hell, they batshit crazy. And I'm like, and I look at them like, okay, what's your body count? And they're like, well, because we have real conversations. Because I come at people 100. I'm real transparent. I'm gonna ask you those questions that ain't nobody else gonna ask you. Or you like, oh, he asked me that. Like, yeah, because it matters. And so I'm not saying that I prefer an experienced woman, but at the same time, you got to look at who she's been with, because she's carrying that energy inside of her womb, and so it'll have an effect on them over time, because they get their minds all over the place, their emotions all up and down. And then you start seeing some of they past flames showing up on, on their Facebook page. You're like, oh, that dude, Oh, him. Oh, and then because there's an imprint that happens. And so over time, and all those energies are being carried in the womb, and then all of a sudden you look up, and she's half out of her mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all know what I'm talking about. Don't act like I'm making this shit up. It's for real. Like wondering why you can't stay focused all over the place. And the brothers too, they running up in all these sisters, like I said. And half of them ain't fit for human conception. Half of them got isms and schisms and stuff going on, and they dropping seeds any and everywhere. And they like, oh yeah, I'm trying to get my body count. I'm like, oh wow, like really, that's what you define yourself as being a man? Is how many women you lay down with? Like, nah. It's the quality of the way you get down. It's the quality of the relationships that you cultivate. It's the quality of your intimacy. And you got to keep it juicy. You got to keep it juicy. Yeah, because ain't nothing, don't get it twisted. Ain't nothing like being with a highly adept, tantric, loving experience. If you don't know what I'm talking about, hit me in the DM, people, please. Because I'm tired of seeing I'm walking around, I'm seeing all y'all dried up ass relationship folks. Yeah, tight ass, you brothers out here with erectile dysfunction. I know who you are. I can look at you and tell.
And vibrators are not always the answer.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because people think about the vibrators and I'm like,
that is not the answer.
And those clitoral orgasms, yeah, it's cool, but that's like a baby, that's like a teenage orgasm. That's only just the tip of the iceberg. And the thing is, those vibrators over time start to numb you over time. And so you're thinking like, oh, you're getting off, but A, there's no energy within that. And then B is 100% physical. And so a lot of the women come to me, they wonder why they numb, why they don't get aroused on the same levels that they did before. It's because they've deadened themselves down below. And I'm like, hey, you got the little rabbit or whatever, what they call it, a jackrabbit, or whatever the things are. Yeah, and I'm like, nah, I mean, I get it. You're having toys within, get down what you get down. You want to spice some things up. Yeah, but like that's your thing. Like, oh yeah. Yeah, then blowing out Walmart for the batteries. Walmart can't keep no batteries. Yeah, especially when COVID hit. Oh yeah, that batteries was gone. Yeah, yeah. And so.
Just cracking up.
No, I'm having flashbacks to when I used to when I had the plumbing company. I can't tell you how many sinks I done went out there.
What was you finding under the sink?
Oh God, I didn't see black stallions. I didn't see whatever the little thing on the box is. I was like, oh. Or all of a sudden, I always know because I'll go into the bathroom and all of a sudden they be, oh wait. I gotta get something. And then they come out with like some wrapped up on the side. I'll be like, that's your thing. I ain't tripping. I'm not in your business like that. I'm just trying to fix your pipes and and make sure your sink works. Yeah, but like on the real though. Those vibrators and whatnot. It's okay for if you need to, we all get there sometimes. You got to get yours. It's cool, but that can't be your mainstay. Because understand, all that over time it deadens your nerves and it makes you numb down below. Especially if that becomes the cold part is most of the time the women that I ran across that that's their thing, that's their substitute, and that's because their man ain't getting down like he needs to. Yeah, that's the hard pill. That's the hard pill to swallow, and it is because most of these folks out here they're not aware of the higher levels sexual tantric arts. And so they just thinking like, oh yeah, man, I'm blowing her back out. I'm like, nah, nobody wants to. Well, I'm not gonna say nobody, because there's some women that, they tear that wall up. But but in my practice, the women that have come to me, when they get to explaining their sexual experiences, it's horrific. And it's sad because most of these sisters out here are not fulfilled. What's up, Becca? Go ahead. Okay.
Sex as it is portrayed to us through the radio, TV, film.
Porn.
Yeah. It's more like porn, and
Mm-hmm.
the act is not. It's sexual art, sensuality. It's more like rape. Yeah. When you look at the different, like I said on the TV, it's like, and this is being taken from you saying you're blowing the back out. Like, it's let's not abuse what our gift of life is to create life and to create whatever you would like we're sharing. Sexual energy can be transmuted into a $1 billion business.
Yes.
High five. Okay. And it's easy, and when you're on one accord, mm-hmm. and the consciousness is surrounding that. And I wanted to share too, sex is not love. Having sex with someone is not saying, I love you. And I'm just going from past experience. Oh, well, you'll love, if you don't love me because you're not having sex with me.
No, that's just an expression of love.
Right.
Yes, it's an expression.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, yes. And part of that pulling away from the act, I had a chance to just look at everything universally, and I'm glad that, and actually I thank everything of the past, all my decisions and everything, because it got me ready for you. Oh, and nice. Then I'm realizing, like, I was preparing myself to be in position to say confidently, I've waited for you.
As I have for you.
Got it. And that feels good, you know?
Yes, it feels good.
I haven't been all up and down the street with everybody, and the body count, yeah, keep it low. Keep it low. Miles are low, and confidence is high for what I've cultivated with you. Yes. So, are there any other questions that we may have? We're gonna do what's Richard supposed to do?
Sister, she asked, how do we feel about polyamory or different relationship structures? Mm-hmm. Yes. How do you feel about polyamory or the various hybrid relationship structures?
How are we, asking that question, how do I feel about polyamory? Mm-hmm. And for the viewers, just in case we are unfamiliar with the term, could you please explain what polyamory is?
A polyamorous relationship is technically an open relationship. There are different varying degrees of that. It just kind of depends on what each of the partners feels most comfortable with. And so, but bottom line, it's an open relationship. Yeah, and I'll leave it at that, because to go into the science behind it and all the different ways that it could, a person can be involved in that. A lot of times people are polyamorous and don't even know it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times, folks say, "Oh, I'm not gonna go." Go ahead. I hit that. I'll cover that on another note. Go ahead.
How do I feel about and how do I feel about open relationships?
Mm-hmm.
I feel that everybody should do what's most comfortable for them in their relationship, with respect to each partner. Um, Now is the question: Would
How
I?
do you
How
feel?
do I feel in my personal? Because I've been approached in this way a couple of times before. For energy purposes, I like to keep things simple.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm okay with a partner.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that answers the question, but I'm okay with a partner.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So polyamorous relationships, open relationships.
Mm-hmm.
That's not something you're in agreement with.
It's not that I don't agree with it. It's just something that I choose not to partake in.
Oh, okay.
Again, for energy reasons.
For energetic reasons.
Yeah, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. So, my take on polyamorous relationships, I'm polyamorous by nature. That's like my go to. That's how I normally function.
Mm-hmm.
And I see the benefits of polyamory because when you're building an empire, when you're building a power structure, as long as the energy within the polyamorous relationship is, there has to be a standard for the partners that exist within that space. And so, from a energetic standpoint, if you got like energy or complementary energies that exist on both sides,
Mm-hmm.
both partners are really steadfast at making sure that the individuals that they deal with are what you would call, I hate to use this term because it gets thrown around so much, high value individuals, high vibrational individuals
Mm-hmm.
within the relationship on each side. So whoever they're dealing with outside of that, and then also as long as the partners within the relationship or relationships are respectful of one another, that's going to be key in maintaining and growing the polyamorous relationship structure to the next level. The challenge that most people have nowadays is when jealousy creeps in, or there's a lack of respect on one part or another, or whatever the agreed upon terms aren't applied or followed with everyone that's involved. And so then you start to have the issues or the infighting or the you know just challenges within that to make it still work. And so once you can get past the egos that exist because you are dealing with multiple individuals, then at that point you can really grow something beautiful and powerful. I mean, the polyamorous monogamy is actually um, a new ideology. I think you probably want to say probably within the last, I don't want to put a date on a number on it, but it's probably one of the newer relationship structures. And so, especially when you go back to the motherland and whatnot, polyamorous relationships, that was the normal thing. I can go into a whole history lesson on how that, what that, how what it all entailed, and but we're not going into all that. That's beyond the scope of what we're dealing with today. But and then also keep in mind, just because you're in a polyamorous relationship doesn't mean that everyone in that has to be dealt with in a sexual manner. And so there's varying degrees on how people plug into that structure. So when it comes to power. I don't knock anybody for whatever relationship structure you deal with, as long as you're happy, as long as nobody's being hurt. Now, the issue I do have is y'all folks that's out there living a lie. And you know what I'm talking about, because a majority of my clients that come to me, brothers, I'm going to let you know a secret. Women, you think you doing something? These sisters out here get down on a whole nother level that you would never even ever know it was even possible. And so I'm going to just let it be known. If your relationship is dry, trust and believe. Or you think you doing something, trust and believe. Yeah. Sister girl is looking for options. It's just what it is. And women get down on the level that I hear the stories and I just be like, wow, dang, really? And I'll be like, oh, okay. And I've heard it enough to where it's like there's you, the house husband, and then there's Johnny and Clyde and whomever else that, she getting juicy with. Especially, so if you in a dry relationship, you better add some water quick. It's just the facts, because I don't bullshit with people. I tell you straight up. I've seen it. I've consulted with enough women that they keep it 100 with me, and they tell me all the time, like, I love him. He's stable. He's a provider, but when it comes to the juiciness within their relationship, it ain't there. And it's not all his fault. It's not. Because one thing that I have to put this out, I got to put this out here. When it comes down to society, women, you got to realize how much power you have. You can make or break a situation just like that. You can. And the thing is, the choice is yours. And so, but at the same time, these brothers got to be willing to, do what they got to do. These sisters got to be, it takes two. And so you got to have real conversations with each other. You really do. And the thing is, so many people, they exist in a level of arrested development. They hit a certain point and they think that's the end all to be all. And they haven't even got out of kindergarten yet. And they're, emotionally and, in their spiritual development. And so I tell it, I see it. I see it all the time. And, and then I talk to the brothers and they talking about, who they dipping with. And I'm looking like, dang, you got married to be, to be creeping around? Like, why are you doing that? Or why are y'all lying to each other? And they they got to the point where, they good on one end, but they're seeking fulfillment in other areas. And so that's what I'm not in agreement with. Because if you're going to dip, why are you committing to this person? Well, because, they're stable, or, because that's my baby daddy and blah, 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 blah. Or that's my baby mama.
Or because the sex is good.
Oh, no, I'm talking about these where the sex is bad. That's why they're different.
Oh, okay.
No, a lot of, I can't tell you how many of my clients come to me that they in long-term relationships that's dry. He's a good provider, but at the same time, they got, Joey and Todd and Rod and Stan that they dipping with on the side. And I'm like, brothers, you got to step your game up. And it was a lot of these brothers, the way they eat or the emotional trauma that they hold is causing them to have erectile dysfunction, or their understanding of sex is porn. And so, they get in there and they, it's hammer time. And, I'm like, yeah, I mean, it had, I like the wild style too, but day in and day out, you talking about making love, you talking about sexual alchemy, like what are you creating outside of, a sore vagina or, and, what you, and then, I'm not even gonna go into, who's coming first. As a matter of fact, or who's coming for, who's coming once and done, or who's not coming at all. Because you talk about a lot of these sisters out here, they're not being fulfilled. I think, what is it? 60-70% of our women in Western culture haven't experienced orgasm. They haven't experienced vaginal orgasms, or don't experience vaginal orgasms during sex. Wow. Yeah, and a lot of times, if they have, it's by accident. The brothers just happen to kind of stroke it in the right direction. So that's something you got to keep in mind. You got to step your sexual game up. You have to become sexually evolved. And when I say sexual, it's not necessarily, your physical get down, but your spiritual connection. Because everything that you do, when we talk about orgasmic, I could touch her hand, sexual, it's an energetic thing. It's a spiritual connection that takes a sexual connection to the next level. And so when you understand that, it's in the way that you talk, it's in the way that you look at each other, it's in the way that you connect in every part of your lives that makes the physical act that much better. So to bring it full circle, when people ask, well, why did we decide to wait until marriage? It's because we're building up those other circuits. So granted, no, are we having intercourse? No, we're not until we get married. But what we are doing is, it doesn't mean that we're not sexual. It doesn't mean that the sexual energy flow between us isn't flowing at an extremely high level, and it's growing every day. And so in that, even when I'm, my hand is on her shoulder, yeah, look at it. See, look at it right there. See, watch this. See. Oh, did you know laughter? The reason why comedians get so many women? The same endorphins that are created when a woman laughs are the same one that mimic the same endorphins that are created when they're having an orgasm.
Ooh, somebody take some notes.
Yes. So if you suck at everything else, at least be funny. So,
you are a whole man.
At least be funny, because at least you create some endorphins. Also, the same thing when it comes to shopping. That's why so many women shop. If you see a woman that shops all the time, it's usually because she's trying to fulfill some other aspect that's lacking in her life.
Retail therapy, that's what it's called?
Because the same endorphins are created. It mimics. It's an orgasmic experience, in particular for women. Sweets. People that have a sweet, granted, sugar is addictive. It's actually more addictive. The only thing more addictive than sugar is heroin. We'll get into food drugs next week. Drugs is food, or food addictions. But sweets, that's another thing. So sweets. So if you got an addiction to sweets, you got an addiction to shopping, got an addiction to laughter is good though. Laughter is good for the soul on many levels. Orgasms are great for the soul. And so what you want to look at, you want to live in an orgasmicness. We live in orgasmic. Our life is orgasmic. It's juicy. Everything's better when it's wet. Trust and believe.
Come on now.
Look at it. Watch. It's what it is. So, do you have any final words, baby?
Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in and for being an active part in what we're doing.
Oh.
What just happened?
My
phone just did something else.
I think that shoulder rub. I think you done blew out your phone.
Maybe it did happen that way.
Snap.
I'm not sure.
Dang.
My phone. It's two phones that we're looking at, but my phone just is doing something. You think that's me?
Yeah.
I have all this extra energy.
I just rubbed your shoulder.
You sure? You was rubbing on my shoulder.
She got a little tingle. That tantra energy ain't no joke. But anyways, that being said, before we blow out another phone, we love you all. Peace and blessings, and have a phenomenal weekend. Bye-bye.